guys, so I'm here today to do a book haul. I mentioned in my Christmas book haul that I'd acquired a little pile of books outside of Christmas gifts over the course of December, so I'm finally here to show those to you. I also have one book that I was sent in January, but other than that I pretty much got all of these in December. I don't know if that really makes a difference, but I have quite a wide and diverse selection, so I'm excited to share them with you all. And with that sentiment, let's get into the books, shall we? So the first three books on my pile are all books I bought myself in the trap of Christmas shopping. So you know when you go Christmas shopping for other people and you end up coming home with things for yourself? That's what happened with me with all three of these books. The first one I got in the record shop FOP here in the UK, where they do a lot of books either for £3 or two for £5. I ended up picking up one of my dad's Christmas presents in there, and like I said, two for £5. So I also got a book for myself, and that is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. I have wanted to read this book for a really long time. I'm a little bit intimidated by it, I think. It's the first volume of 7 that make up Maya Angelou's autobiography. Because of that, it deals with racism and poverty and just a lot of harrowing things that Maya Angelou went through but overcame, and obviously became a very well-renowned author. This book has a recommendation from Barack Obama on the front. I've also seen Jeremy Corbyn recommend it. It's a book I hear nothing but praise for. This volume itself is set in the 1930s in Southern America throughout Maya Angelou's childhood. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, this is actually February's read for the Feminist Orchestra book club. So I obviously needed to get my hands on a copy, so it was all the better that it was a bargain, and I am so excited to read it, even if I think it is going to be quite hard. I think it's also going to be quite hopeful. I then bought 2 poetry collections in foils, when again I was shopping for other people. I need to learn a little bit more self-restraint, obviously. The first one is by John Burnside and it's Black Cat Bone. So I have thoroughly enjoyed a couple of John Burnside's novels, but I've never read one of his collections of poetry, so I figured it was about time I did that since I enjoyed his novels so much, and I wasn't sure where to start, so I looked at all of the ones they had on the shelves. This one won the T.S. Eliot Prize and the Forward Prize, so I was like, that's the one I'm going for. No other reason than that. John Burnside is perhaps better known for his poetry, so I think it's about time that I got round to some of it, and if his prose are anything to go by, this is going to be stunning. I then got a collection of poetry, which is an anthology. It's full of poems by different authors, and that is Furies, a poetry anthology of women warriors. Now look at that cover. It was the bright yellow cover that drew me to it initially, and then I saw the title, which was Furies, which is a reference to a Greek mythological creature. So I was like, what is this? I need this. And then I read a little bit more and I needed it even more, and obviously I bought it. And then on top of that, I realised that the profits from this book get split between 2 organisations, one to support women writers and the rest goes towards supporting rape crisis centres. So all about this, can't wait to read it. I think it's going to be incredible. I then have a proof copy of a book I was given at work, and that is The Good People by Hannah Kent. Yes, Hannah Kent, the author of Burial Rights, which was incredibly popular when it was released. This is also published by Picador, and it's her second novel. I never actually got around to reading Burial Rights, although I heard rave reviews about it, so I'm excited to have my hands on her second novel, which is set in 1800s Ireland. I believe it follows 3 different women and their families as they intersect and come to rely on one another in certain situations. Then there is this line on the back which just reads, "One woman's mercy is another woman's murder." So obviously I'm incredibly intrigued by this one. The next 3 books were all sent to me by Vintage. I got an email asking if I would like a copy of Take Courage, Anne-Bronte and the Art of Life by Samantha Ellis. This is a non-fiction work all about Anne Bronte, who is often the overlooked sister of the 3 Bronte sisters, despite being an incredibly impressive woman from what I gather. Although I haven't read any of her work, but I am very excited to say I now have 2 of them here with me in London, so I don't really have an excuse, because Vintage also sent me Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte and The Tenant-of-Wildfell-Hall by Anne Bronte. This is probably her most famous one. This one is about Agnes Grey, whose family loses its fortune and has to start work as a governess, but is treated incredibly cruelly. And then the Tenant-of-Wildfell-Hall is about a beautiful young widow who moves into an apartment block who has some hidden secrets. And look at these covers, aren't these beautiful? The next book I have was sent to me by Penguin, and it is They Can't Kill Us All, The Story of Black Lives Matter. This is in this lovely series of Penguin books that I really like. I also have Citizen, an American Lyric, which is packaged like this, and Owen Jones's Establishment, which I read last year, was in this same kind of design. I guess it's a design they use for some of their political books, and this one is pretty much explained by the title. It is all about the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement and how it came to be and for what reasons it came to be. So it sounds really, really important, relevant and really current. This is a current affairs book, so I'm excited to read this one because it's nice to read about things that are going on right now rather than just historical political activism. Oh, and it's by Wesley Lowry. I then have two books I picked up at the Penguin platform Christmas party, and the first one is The Book of Mirrors, which was recommended to me by my lovely friend Rachel, who also works at Penguin. And this is a crime book with apparently an unreliable narrator, which sounds amazing. It's about a murder that took place 25 years ago, and it's now 25 years in the future, and a literary agent receives a manuscript, or is it actually a confession? Sounds super good. I'm constantly meaning to read more crime fiction because I've really enjoyed what I have read, so I'm glad to have this one on my shelves, and it was highly recommended to me by somebody I trust, so I'm glad to have this. And then I picked up, now get ready for this cover guys, The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. Beware the Evil in the Woods. And I believe this is a retelling of a classic Russian fairy tale, or perhaps even an amalgamation of a few different fairy tales, but just one used as the central plot. It's set in a small village. It follows a young woman, and apparently something dark and gruesome happens, so that premise is all I really need. And again, look at that cover. I have one last book to show you, and this book was in my most anticipated new releases of 2017, so I'm so excited to have my hands on it, and that is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. This novel was released earlier in the US, but it's just come out in the UK, published by Penguin. Another stunning cover, and it begins with two sisters, one of whom who's sold into slavery and the other who becomes a slave trader's wife. It then follows different members of their families across the generation to see the ripple effect that has had on their families' lives. It sounds amazing. I have only heard pretty much 5-star reviews for it, so I am almost certain that I'm going to fall in love with this one, and I'm sure you'll be seeing it in a wrap up very, very soon. Those are all the books I had to show you, though no mean amount, especially since I had my Christmas book haul as well. I think I have enough books to be getting on with for now, but if you have any thoughts on any of the books I talked about in this video, please do let me know, and until next time, happy reading. I'll see you all again soon. Bye!